Hello, Vacation Bible School campers. I know that we are having to do our VBS with you just a little different this year. We're coming to you through your screen on YouTube instead of inviting you in like we do every summer in person to our church. But I hope you are able to have some fun with us over the course of this week as we tell you several different Bible stories as part of this quest for the King's armor. And in this quest, I want all of you to pretend that you are knights of the North Castle in search of this special armor. Except that this armor isn't made out of metal, it's made out of elements of faith. And to help share that, I'm going to tell you the Bible verse that we will be reciting every day as part of our online VBS. This is our banner verse, and it comes from the 6th chapter of the book of Ephesians in the New Testament, verse 10. Be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his power. Can you say that with me? Be strong in the Lord and in the strength of his power. Now, each day this week, you will hear a story from one of our noble storytellers about someone who is in the Bible and showed the strength that they have in God. And for this first day of Vacation Bible School, you'll hear about a man named Daniel, who had a whole book named after him in the Bible. And in this story that you're about to hear from Mrs. Nancy, Daniel had 3 friends named Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And you're going to hear about how those 3 friends of Daniel's stood up for truth to a king called Nebuchadnezzar, even when Nebuchadnezzar tried to do the very worst that he possibly could to those 3 brave men. So, stay tuned as you listen to this story from Mrs. Nancy about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Well, good day, Knights of the North Castle. I understand that every day you are going to go on a quest, a search for the king's armor. But you're also going to come to Story Hall to hear a story. Now, a quest requires preparation. That means getting ready. And I think the best way to get ready for your quest is to learn your banner words, your banner slogan. A banner is what knights carry into a quest like this, and ours has words on it. Those words are, be strong in the Lord and the strength of his power. You got that? Be strong in the Lord and the strength of his power. Excellent. Those words are going to take you on your quest each day. And then each day there'll be a story. These are going to be stories from the King's Book, also called the Bible. You know, I think we should really call it the King's Library, because this big book is full of all kinds of history and poems and some great, great stories. The story that we're going to share today comes from a book in the Bible called Daniel, and it takes place in a land called Babylon. And Babylon has a king with the really weird name of Nebuchadnezzar. And Nebuchadnezzar was a powerful king who wanted to be in charge of absolutely everything. He even wanted to be in charge of how people worshiped. So he had this huge gold statue made. It was so big that you could see it from just about everywhere in Babylon. And he said that when people heard special music, like trumpets playing and drums beating, that they were to turn toward the statue and bow. Well, there were 3 brave men in Babylon who got into a really big mess with the king. In fact, they got into something hotter than a dragon's breath. Well, our story is going to begin anon, and that's night speak for really soon. But I want to introduce you to the men those brave men in the story, because they also have names that seem kind of weird to us. Their names are Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Those aren't easy words to remember, but they're so brave and so amazing that I think we should try. So to help you remember their names, I'm going to use them many times as I tell the story. And these are men who have strong hearts, strong minds, and strong faith. And so every time I say Shadrach, think of strong hearts and go like this. When I say Meshach, think of strong minds and go like this. And when I say Abednego, think of strong faith and put your hands like this, like you're praying. Okay, I'm ready to start the story, and I need for all of you to help by remembering those motions. Okay. Once there was a king named Nebuchadnezzar who ruled in Babylon long ago, and in that land there were 3 faithful people, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The king made a towering gold statue and ordered everyone to bow down low. But 3 men wouldn't worship that statue. They were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. When the king found out about their actions, he ordered them again, but they said no. And so he made it known that they must be punished, that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He had them thrown into a fiery furnace, and he turned up the heat as far as it would go. How dare they disobey what he had ordered, that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Though the flames were fierce inside that furnace, the men were filled with faith and not with woe, because a messenger from God was there to protect them, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The king was so amazed, he freed them promptly. Their trust in God has made his own heart grow, and he ordered everybody to respect the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. 3 men knew the truth of God's great power. 3 men had faith, and they let it show. Even now, they're a great example, that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Okay, huzzah, my friends. That means very, very well done. So, we just had a story about truth. And so I thought it might be fun if we did sort of a true-false quiz. If something that I say is true, if it actually is right, you put your thumb up. And if what I say is wrong, if it's false, if it's not true, put your thumb down. You ready? Okay. King Nebuchadnezzar had a huge gold statue made. True or false? True, you're right. He gave a command that whenever special music was played, everyone should do the cha-cha. Oh, I think maybe that's false. Everyone was supposed to bow down. But 3 of God's people didn't bow down. They were Tom, Dick, and Harry. I think maybe that's false. They were thrown into a fiery furnace. True or false? True. But they didn't burn up because God sent a messenger to protect them. True. Well done, knights. Well, you know, they were the only 3 people in the whole land of Babylon that didn't do what the king said. Sometimes at school or at church or at home, you'll hear about peer pressure, and that's the pressure to do what everybody else is doing, because if you don't, you might get teased or left out. Have you ever been in a situation, has there been a time when everybody else was doing something, maybe they were teasing somebody or saying something mean, and you felt this pressure to do what they were doing or you'd be left out of the group. Well, the Bible doesn't promise that if we do the right thing, that nothing bad will happen to us. No, that is not so. But the Bible does promise that God will never, ever leave us. God will always be by our side. God will always be there with us no matter what's happening. And that is really, really good news. So remember that, my friends, that God is always with you. We're going to close with a prayer. And it's one that I found pretty recently, but I really like it. And I think one reason I like it is that it rhymes, and so it's easier for me to remember. And maybe you'll find it easier to remember too. After I say each line, I'll give you time to say it too. God is caring. God is kind. Giving love and peace of mind. We can follow God's own way by caring, sharing every day. Amen.